Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So lately I put up a series of videos talking about the division in its current state, and the last thing that we heard from the developers was in the last state of the game, talking about some of the changes, some of the I would say improvements they wanted to put in place, and then future content. But to be honest, I'm quite interested not just in future content, but specifically one aspect of the future content in the game, and that is the New York DLC. Now, I've mentioned and discussed this, in different iterations, and I always continue to talk about it because there is so much that was left in New York before transitioning the entire player base to what we call the Division 2 right now. The New York map and the New York setting really was developed over a long period of time. Now, even if we're going to a very small segment of NYC, I wonder if the developers are not going to just continue to expand on the episodes within New York City and continue to transition us in there, and maybe once in a while bring us back to Washington, D.C., or kind of find a way to tie up both stories or something. But whether they tie up the stories or not is not my main concern. I think my main concern is how deep we're going to go into New York. Are we going to revisit those landmark and I would say iconic aspects of New York City that made the Division 1 such a wonderful game in its right? Now, it was a wonderful game over 3 years. It was not a wonderful game on release, but we look at different aspects of the game like survival, which some people, there's different schools of thought on survival. Some people said, it's boring. Some people said it's interesting. If you look at different aspects of perhaps maybe underground, I thought underground was not as, in my opinion, interesting, but it was good. It was good to keep us playing for specific rewards, achievements, and different loot items. But I would say, in my opinion, survival would have benefited from them randomizing the loot on the map and the items where you can find them from, because what that became was, after a few days, survival became 10-minute runs. There were streamers running survival and seeing how fast they could do it. And the moment you have anything down to a science, then it makes the division kind of somewhat monotonous. That doesn't mean it's not going to be enjoyable. It is going to be enjoyable, but then you start to see people running it so fast, and then what's the reason to run it for? But I think if we go back to survival in New York this time, the developers can actually make it much more interesting, and they just have to bring survival back. I'm sorry. I don't know how else or what else is available in New York. Perhaps the Dark Zone. I mean, that might be also something that would do well. But on the PvE side, I would say definitely they need to look at those options and those things that made New York quite unique in its sense. Now, if I go ahead and say something like the Dark Zone, well, what's it going to be worth? Because it's going to be the Dark Zone with the current PvP mechanics in the game currently. And so that might not still appeal to the PvP fans in the game. So I'm just going to leave that, because I'm not a PvP player. I don't play PvP games in terms of shooters. I mean, I do play fighting games like crazy. I play Mortal Kombat. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. But I'm looking forward to New York, and I wanted to just take this opportunity to just ask you guys, those of you who will still play this game later down the road. I'm not speaking to those who have sold the game, because there are a lot of people who've said, we're not returning back to the game. It seems like they've already taken too long to put the things that the community had been asking for, or to get things in place. But will you play a New York map? Would you go back to New York for the sake of nostalgia, maybe even being inquisitive, maybe just your curiosity? What are you going to do with the New York DLCs or the episodes where New York is actually released when that comes out? So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I really want to engage in conversation about the Division 2. Right now, the game is pretty much on hibernation for me, and I'll be jumping back once they have the PTS and once they have the loot implementation in place. And I really want to see what all that stuff is about. Anyways, I'm going to get out of your hair. Thank you very much for your time and your audience, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.